tutorial today on the simple storage service in Amazon AWS. We're going to first create a bucket so we can toy around with it. Your bucket name must be unique. It also must be a minimum of 3 characters and a maximum of 63. Cannot contain dots or hyphens. It must end with a letter or number, and it cannot contain 2 adjacent periods. The bucket name cannot start with a prefix. It can also not start with an alias. If you want, you can also copy existing settings from a previous bucket. Next is the object ownership. In the object ownership, it is typically going to be controlled by ACLs, although Amazon recommends that it is going to be disabled and that object ownership is bucket owner enforced. Next is the settings for blocking public access to the bucket. Now what this does is essentially, if that is checked, Amazon AWS will ignore any ACLs granting public access to any object in the bucket. Bucket versioning is a tool Amazon provides that keeps multiple versions of a bucket and creates one every time there's a change to an object. This is useful because if you accidentally delete something or make an unintended change, you can easily revert it. It does come at an extra cost, but typically it is a good idea to enable bucket versioning. Next is the tags. Tags are very important for organization of buckets and other AWS resources. We're going to go ahead and give it a tag. We're just going to call a key bucket, and then we're just going to call it test. Now this is the encryption. You can use the default encryption, or you can put your own Amazon KMS managed keys into encrypting the bucket, and now this is a means for security. You can have dual layer, or you can just stay with the server side. For the bucket key, if you enable it, you can use it for SSE KMS encryption, and it will reduce costs. Instead of having to use Amazon KMS, you are essentially supplying your own key. Object locked permanently allows objects in the bucket to be locked. Configuration and object lock policies are required after setting up the bucket if you enable this. Go ahead now and create our bucket. There it is. Now we're going to enter it. Go ahead now and mess with some folders, so we're just going to call this test. Here you can also configure some server-side encryption stuff. Let's go take a look at metrics. You're not going to see anything yet, but as you add more items to your bucket, you will. Let's go take a look at properties. Here you can configure bucket versioning again if you already want it. Here's other stuff, like you can do cloud trail, object lock. You can host a static website. You can make a requester pay. You can set up transfer acceleration, event bridge stuff, event notifications. It's very useful. We're taking a look at permissions. So this is where you can set your ACLs. Just remember that if public access is on, you are not going to be able to actually use some of your ACLs. So you can go in here and edit the bucket policy, which is the access ACL. This is pretty useful if you want to share some stuff or all stuff in a bucket, if you want to share a specific folder to the public or block a specific folder to a public. Next, we're going to go take a look at management. You can do some lifecycle rules, which essentially prunes the bucket and keeps everything all tidy. You can do some replication rules. This essentially just like replicates data. And you can also set up inventory configurations. We're going to go take a look at access points now. Access points essentially allow points that are queryable by networks to access any point in the bucket. These are very configurable, and they're configurable with ACLs. And these are great for like pulling stuff down from the cloud or like mounting something. We're going to go ahead and delete it now. We actually have to empty the bucket first, so I'm going to do that real quick. So we're going to go do that, and then after that, we're going to go ahead and delete our bucket. You do that just by typing in its name, Coulter's test bucket, and then we're going to delete the bucket. Now it's gone. And that was my AWS S3 tutorial. The next video in this playlist is going to be about EFS, and then we're going to tackle FSX next. If you liked the video, please give it a like. I'm still trying to figure out what really works for me because I'm kind of new to creating content. So if you like these tutorials or have any constructive criticism, it is absolutely welcome. And you guys have a good day.